Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to all of our listeners out in podcast land. This is Joe with the She Compass Show coming to you with Helen, my co-captain. And I just want to say hello again to all of you. It's been a while since we've talked to you. As you know, we are changing our episodes from every Tuesday to every other Tuesday, starting with this new episode. So it's giving us a little bit of a break and a little bit more time to give you some great episodes. And today is going to be our final episode of season 2. So we want to end this on a really positive note. And we want to talk today just about a very simple subject, but one that has a great impact on a lot of different people. And that's the subject of love. And Helen, I want to turn it over to you because you've got some great thoughts to share with it. And we all know just how incredibly loving and appreciative of so many different people that you are. So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I want to talk about first of all, the way the world works right now for most of us, or the way I think most of us see the world by talking to so many people and trying to figure out what the definition of love really is for people. Love for me is, as it's always been a part of my heart, in giving to other people in ways, just spreading the love, and means spreading a hug or spreading a compliment or saying hello to someone you don't know or giving a hug to someone that you don't know. It may change someone's life. And that's my definition of spreading love, because sometimes just a hug or a friendly smile to someone you don't know, or a friendly gesture to someone that you don't know, or even someone you do know, is like one of the most life-changing events for most of us. So that is sort of my definition of giving love to people I don't know. Now, giving love to people that I know, there's a whole nother definition for that as well. Just assisting people. We live in a world of social media where everyone's putting up all these great things on Instagram, and my life is great and my world is great, and Facebook, and sometimes just reaching out to a family member or a friend to really see what's really going on and if they're really okay, because we don't communicate the same way. We look at their lives and we see all these glorifications that's going on, and we think, wow, they're doing great. And usually when I pick up a phone, I get a whole nother story. So I think it's perception. Everybody wants to be perceived as doing well because that's the way the world wants us to look. And when we get up there and we say something's going on in our life, or we're depressed about something or sad, it's kind of hard to tell everybody that you feel that way, because then you kind of get locked up in a whole different bag. But I want to know what happened to communication one-on-one, where people just talk to each other. And I just want to make sure that the world knows that in order for us to be okay, no matter who it is or what it is, communication is still key in the way of just reaching out and talking to one another.
You know what? Your comments are right on target, because it's getting me to think about a few things. I think I heard in the news maybe about a week ago or so that the one of these government agencies is working on, I think it's the FCC, is working on trying to create a 3-digit number for suicide prevention. And so they were saying that since we have a situation with emergencies where we can call 911, the same thing should be true if we find ourselves in a situation where our mental health is at stake in such a way that we could potentially harm ourselves or potentially harm someone else.
Right.
And what I think that you're saying, and this point that you're making has come up in conversations about mental health more than once. It's come up in about conversations regarding mental health several times, and that is what you're saying is the thing that you make part of your daily mantra, part of the way you live your life, is to simply reach out and ask someone how they're doing. You know, today we had an appointment for 2 of our animals. So since we've seen you folks, and the last time we've seen you, we've acquired one more member of the family. We acquired a new kitten. We found her actually
she acquired us.
She acquired us. I think that's a good way to put it. She was actually on the property. We heard her crying, and we thought, it was just a feral cat. And it turned out to be a very small kitten. She was probably about, I think the vet said between
2
4
or 3 weeks.
I think she said between 4 and 6, right? Something like that.
2 or 3.
Okay, so let's
somewhere
somewhere around there. there. So she was quite small. And so we've had her since. We went back and forth trying to figure out, oh gosh, do we keep her? Do we, give her away? Of course, we're animal lovers, so we're going to do everything we can to keep her. So of course, now we've decided to keep her, and we've been able to acclimate her into the home and everything. And, so the whole concept of love and connecting with people makes us who we are. And so we went to the vet today to have another follow-up appointment for one of the animals, for the new animal, for the kitten. And we met a couple of different people. Now, me, in my sort of way that I'm kind of always focused on things, I was sort of focused on making sure the animals were okay. I say my hellos and my goodbyes and whatnot, but Helen really makes an effort to reach out to people and let them know that she cares about them. I think you hugged 3 women while you were in there.
Yeah.
And then we spoke to, I think, 1 or 2 different women. Actually, Helen did. She kicked off the conversation. Of course, when she kicks it off, I want to get involved. But what I love about it is just taking a few minutes. I'm just thinking about the way I felt. And I'm also thinking about the way these other ladies must have felt. Just to have somebody reach out to them for 5 seconds and say, hey, how you doing? Or your dog or your cat is so cute. What service are you having done? How's it going? Just even the smallest bit of conversation. Not only does it help build relationships, but it can make an impact on someone's mental health. And that's what you're referring to, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and then we were sitting there, and we the little Chihuahua mix that we have, Dachshund Chihuahua mix, he's pretty feisty, so he has to stay in a cage because he always wants to start a fight with somebody. The lady that was kind of asking from the counter, okay, what are the animals here for today and what were their names? And she said, okay, what's the kitty's name? And I said, Kitty Longstockings. Oh my God. People turned around and said, oh my God, that's so cute. Where'd you get that name? Where'd you think of that? And I said, just looking at her and looking at her beautiful face, and it just came out. But just people being happy, just people making a comment can change someone's life for the whole day. Because the lady that we started having the conversation with, she was moving to another state, and she was excited about that and excited about her life. And she talked for a very long time. The conversation started very, just briefly, and you could tell that she really needed to talk. She really needed someone to hear her. We talked to her like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so she talked, and she had a lot to say about her baby, and she was a dog trainer, and we kind of talked to her about some things, and she had a pretty feisty animal, and we have one too. So we just, the whole conversation, and it turned into something that we started talking about for one of the podcasts that we're going to do. So you never know who needs to talk or who needs to be heard for that time. And she was really appreciative of the time that we took to talk to her, and we waited for our animals to be done, and then we took off. But
and I think the point too I think so. What you're saying, and that brings up a kind of a different viewpoint of it is, you and I are 2 different people. When I approach somebody, I tend to be a little less talkative. I tend to be less demonstrative, but I do like to have just a slight bit of connection with that person. I never know where that person is or what they're doing, but I do know that just smiling at somebody certainly makes me feel better. And I'm thinking about the impact that it has on them too. That kind of expressing that kind of love and kindness really is contagious. Well, and it really can have an amazing impact on somebody, because you just don't know where they are in their space.
I've had people fall apart. Giving them a hug, just saying, you just don't know how much I needed that today, or you just don't know how much I needed someone to say just hi to me, or you look pretty, or just acknowledge me. There are billions of people on this planet, and why are some of us so lonely? Okay, because we can go into a space within ourselves that is challenging to come out of, but one-on-one communication with people, it's still key. You still have to have a physical and a mental connection with another human being, because that can change so many things, even when you're going through something mentally. And if you're having some mental health problems, that also changes things. And we're going through some very challenging times in our world right now, and it's happening all over the world. And I still believe with every fiber in my being that love can still overrule hate. It can still overrule all of the bad things out there. It's just one word, LOVE, and it works. It really does. And I've seen it in motion. I've seen it happen. I know there's still millions and millions and millions beyond millions of good people out there who want to reach out and spread love and show compassion and show that they care. And, just making that connection with people. So if you have family members and they're on Facebook or Instagram or any of these social media outlets, think about sometime picking up a phone and just saying, how are you really doing? I see you're doing great. I see you doing great things out there. Just called to tell you I love you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. As many of you know, the She Compass Show is based on the lessons of finding our She Compass, 15 life lessons for women voyaging toward restoration, reconstruction, and renewal.
I am so happy that women around the world are being able to read this book, and it's helping so many women to enrich their lives.
So if you haven't yet picked up your copy of Finding Our She Compass, we encourage you to do so. It's available on Amazon, or you can go to our website, shecompass.com, and click on the Buy the Book and More page. Now back to the show. That goes such a long way. We have extended family members that it's funny, you and I will sit here and say, oh, I need to call Aunt so-and-so, or oh, I need to call Uncle so-and-so. And we'll sit here and say that to each other for 10 or 15 minutes. And then, we'll laugh about the memories that we have, or the whatever the last time was that we saw them,
Exactly.
We'll talk about it. And then 10 minutes later, we'll be into something else. And then I'll forget that I said I needed to call Aunt so-and-so or Uncle so-and-so. And that actually hasn't happened. And I need to make more time to do that. So,
well, what's really funny? I have a neighbor, and I won't mention her name because I'm on a podcast, so I won't. But if she ever listens to this, she'll know who I'm talking about. She has a dog, and I love her dog, and I love her. And in sitting with her, sometimes it just makes everything seem so much easier, so much better. Like I said, you can get around a certain type of person that can just bring your blood pressure down.
Yeah.
And her animal, I love, we love animals.
Mm-hmm.
And this little baby loves me too. And when he sees me, it's like, yippee! It's like Disneyland time,
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is everybody has people in their lives who make their lives feel better and richer. It's not always about finances and money and blah, blah, blah. What can someone do to feed your intellect?
And I love what you said a minute ago too. It just popped into my head about Facebook and Instagram and all these kinds of things. Come off of the social media, come off the text messages,
right.
and take a moment. I know it seems like a lot sometimes. It's like, oh, I'm so busy. Like I was just saying, oh, I got to call Aunt so-and-so and Uncle so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
By the time when I finally, one day I dropped everything I was doing. I was in the middle of a deadline and I said, I don't care. This is going to be the day that I'm going to pick up the phone. My hope, now I'm looking at my watch. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm looking at my watch going, well, hopefully I can get off the phone in the next 30 minutes so I can get back to work. It didn't turn out that way. So, but the point being is that conversation is so memorable to me. I'm still remembering. It happened maybe 2 months ago.
I remember.
You know what I'm talking about?
It was beautiful. Yeah.
It was beautiful.
But it didn't give you fuel again.
And it renewed me. Absolutely.
Yeah. And just hearing that person's voice, the conversation, there's nothing like conversation. I remember when all of this stuff first started taking place, and I would communicate with my kids, and I would get a text. I was like, what? Yeah. Text? I mean, I pick up the phone and say hi to your mom. So you get used to it.
Yeah,
it becomes the norm. Me and my daughter, we FaceTime a lot. Mm-hmm. She FaceTimes me a lot, and I FaceTime her a lot, so we can at least see each other and talk to each other and see the feeling in each other's faces and know that what's going on with us. It's a great way to communicate, to just look at someone you love. And that's another good thing because they have FaceTime now. So you can not only talk to the people you love, you can look at them and see what's going on with them, because we still need that as human beings. Don't take away all of our emotional intelligence.
And we need it now more than ever because we're so bombarded with technology, because we're so bombarded with the very things that you talked about at the beginning of the show.
Right.
When you said the state of the world is so challenging right now. We need that one-on-one contact more now than ever. And I admit, I'm a person who likes to be by myself. I like to be quiet. I like to...
We're loners.
We're loners. But one thing I do know is that I do have people in this world that love and care about me, and I make it a priority even in thought, and I need to do more of that in action, but I'm trying to do more of that now. Make it a priority to say to people that I'm connected to you. I hear what you're saying, and I want to reach out and just let you know that I'm thinking about you. And I don't want to do it through a text message. I don't want to do it through an email,
Exactly. What just happened is really funny. Tundrich, she just FaceTimed me, and I was using my sign language. I said, right. Oh, okay. She sees the earphones. But we're just talking about that.
We were just talking about that. And her daughter just called and said, "Hey, Mom, I'm just checking on you." Yeah. And that's exactly. And this is the thing that Helen, now I'm going to quote you. I'm going to make sure I say this right, because this is one of my favorite quotes that you say.
Okay.
We have more life behind us than we do in front of us.
Yes, for sure.
And so it's so important, ladies.
Because go ahead. Without saying my age, if I live for another, whatever these 50 plus, 60 plus years will be, I can't live. There's just, it's not going to happen.
And I think, the point that I was going to make is, regardless of the age that you are, this is the reason why I like that quote.
Right.
Because regardless of the age that you are, the state of the world and the way that it is now, we don't have to go into detail about the mass shootings that we've been hearing about the fires in the Amazon. Each one of us is well aware of what's happening right now. And so the thing that I want to use your quote to say is, we all, regardless of the age that we are, have more life behind us than we do in front of us, because we just can't guarantee what what the next day is going to bring. So it's so important to live every day to its fullest.
Well, it's important to live every minute like it's your last.
True.
And because we're not sure of any, not even the next hour, just the next minute. And, like I said, being in a job where you're in touch with your mortality every second of the day, because you're working with people who have challenges. And, I'm looking at the world from both sides now, whether you have challenges or not. I've seen the gamut happen where big surprises come and no one expected it. So, just live your life to the fullest. Live your life as though every second is the most important second you take your next breath.
And there's something I want to talk about that jumped into my head also. There's one of the things that Helen has always said is that she tries to make love a center of the universe. The center of your universe in particular, and the center of the way that you act and exist in this world. Mm-hmm. And there's the thing I want to kind of touch upon. I think someone had asked you about this recently, that they were trying to understand sort of how to, how is it that you have these connections with people? And I think that one thing that you had said was, I really try to focus on agape love, and having an agape love for the human race in general. It's not so much about necessarily, when we say love, we have different kinds of love. We have love for our animals. We have love for our spouses. We have love for our kids. But the thing that I think tends to happen, I used to hear women say this to me a lot when I was young and kind of, finding my way through the world. I would hear women who had children say to me all the time, "Oh, you'll change your mind when you're older. You've never felt a love like this until you've had kids." And what they did not know about me, and I think this is true of a lot of women, is that not only is it an issue of choice and kind of how you want to live your life, but it's also an issue of the love that you currently have in your life. I was a person who had a lot of love in my life. And so it wasn't as though I was missing out on, sort of knowing what it is to feel a great love for another human being. I had a lot of that around me. And particularly, like Helen said, when you're in an industry where you're working with people who are facing their mortality, you learn to develop a great love for the people around you. And I think if we all practiced a little bit more of agape love, we would experience that at more points in our life and certainly earlier, and therefore it would change our relationships that we have with one another, no matter who they are.
Right. And you would experience it in bigger magnitudes, because the thing of it is in order to receive love, you have to give love. And so you have to open yourself up. And I'm not saying open yourself up so you can be hurt, because a lot of people say, "Oh, if I open myself, I'm going to get hurt." I mean, open yourself up for whatever it is you have in you to give out to other people. It's okay. Even if you don't get it back, it's so healthy for you to just give it. And when I say that's the way I give it, there's safe ways to give love too. You don't have to throw your whole self and, falling in love with somebody, that's a whole nother thing. But I'm just saying, giving love to people that you don't even know who may need it. You never know. If you give some love to somebody else, you never know what was on their mind. They could have been thinking about, when we talk about mental health issues, about doing something to harm themselves, or maybe even harm others. You could stop somebody from doing something crazy just by giving out some love, giving a hug, or saying something nice to somebody who may just be mentally challenged, but that may be the thing that wakes them up and makes them think.
And I like where your definition is going here, is to say that love takes on many different forms.
Oh, yeah.
It could be an issue of kindness. It could be a gesture. Mm-hmm. It could be a hug. It could be mm-hmm. a kiss. It could be, there's so many different ways to do it. But I think, like you're saying, is that if you extend that love that's appropriate for that situation and try to exercise it with the world at large, as opposed to we all kind of keep it in our circles, or we withhold it if we're feeling not too great today, or I've heard people say all the time that oftentimes the best feelings that they get, if they could be down in the dumps, and as soon as they smile at somebody else, or as soon as they strike up a conveation with somebody else, they are the people that actually feel better.
Oh yeah, they feel better, and they feel empowered. They feel strength. And I'm not, when I say I hug men, I hug women, I hug children. Yeah. Sometimes when people are with their kids, and the kids, just kind of looking at you in this way, and you're saying, oh, what a pretty little girl, or what a handsome little man. And their parents will say, hey, can I give him a hug? Oh yeah, come on, give him a hug. Because it's not safe anymore. Because when I was growing up, you could hug grown people. It's not safe anymore. So boundaries to everything, but making things safe for everybody is a very good thing. And it's if we don't do that, then what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Just all stand around looking at each other with this look on our face, and no one's.
It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You're absolutely right to acknowledge that we all have to respect boundaries and that thing.
Like I said, there are boundaries. Yeah. So I could just say, well, you know what? First thing I would say to them is, I just want you to know I love you today too, and I hope you have every wish in your life that you want to come true.
And that's the point. And it's about giving and extending yourself in whatever way that you can.
In a safe space for everybody.
And whatever way that you can do it, that's a safe space for you as well.
And if you're an intuitive person, I've been pretty intuitive all my life. I have a great feel and a great sense for what I'm around. We want this podcast to be positive. We want it to be about you and your safe space, but we want you to know that you can give love and receive love very safely. And it's okay. And, check on your loved ones, and check on your children, and check on your mom, and check on your dad and your aunts and uncles. And if it's going to be the thing that makes you feel good that day, because you may be the one in need of love or a hug or some kindness from somebody, then make it happen. When I was at the vet today, I was thinking about how many beautiful animals and what animals bring into our lives, and how much love they bring and how much compassion they bring into one's life. So, I was thinking, I wish I could start I know there's a lot of things out there that people have for like animal rescues and things like that. But there are so many people that can be paired up with beautiful animals that could love them 24/7 and be in their life and shower them with love, because a lot of us are lonely. I talk to people all the time, and I'm very not surprised anymore, but I say, you have family, why not reach out? And that's the last thing people want to do sometimes. They're like, that's the last thing I want to do, because I really don't want to alarm anybody, but this is how I'm feeling. And I'm one that's always checking in with people's feelings. And I tell people, hey, sometimes a nice little bird, even a bird. I had birds. They're very sweet.
Had a rabbit?
Oh yeah, we had a rabbit. Kittens, cats, dogs. People have unusual animals, turtles, all kind of stuff. Whatever it is that you have to do for yourself to embrace yourself in love, where you don't become depressed, or you don't, because we're hitting the holidays too. And that's something I always worry about in terms of love, because everybody thinks of Christmas and the holidays, and it's such a great time. But for a lot of people, it's a very dark time. So, as I think about the holidays, when they're approaching in the next maybe 3 or 4 months, which is like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
It goes by so fast.
Yeah.
After Halloween, all the Christmas stuff
That's
goes
right.
up. If you're out there, consider an animal of some type, because anything that can bring us love, where we don't have to feel alone, and we don't have to feel depressed, and we don't have to feel deprived of the world we live in, with billions of people walking alongside of us, and us feeling like we're the only person in existence. That's very sad. And I've heard so many people say this to me, so I know it's true. Animals are beautiful, and they bring a lot of light into our life sometime where there's darkness. So if it's not human communication that you're feeling like that's something that you can't tolerate at the time, or something that's just too hard for you, think about adopting an animal. And there's so many rescue shelters where animals need our help and our love. And that's what I'd like to say about love.
That's a really good point. I think, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm also thinking about the menagerie of and zoo that we've had over the years, which has been wonderful. But I think the point that you're making, it speaks to so many different areas, the animals, and it's just the point being is that self-care is such an important thing. And you're absolutely right that, and this is I think the thing that you're trying to illustrate is that you go into the place that makes you comfortable, and that allows you to put yourself first so that you can give the best of yourself to the world.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because unfortunately, no matter what our issues are with depression or whatever it is we may be going through, we have a world on a daily basis that we have to deal with.
That's
we have
true.
to work, we have to show up, and we have to fit in. So if we have to fit into this square peg, we have to figure out how to do it. And sometimes that's challenging. So what I'm trying to do is just give out some maybe advice, things that you can do to make it easier for yourself, because I think we all fall on depression at some point in our life, because life is so full of everything that has to be done. When I think about how many things I can do in 2 hours, it seems like I should have a week. I'm serious. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, this, and sometimes that just alone can drive you crazy. And with this electronic device that's attached to my body 24/7, and I think about the way I grew up, we had a home phone. We had none of this. None of this existed. It was supposed to make our life much easier, and it's making most of us have a more challenging life and a more difficult life, and it's more overwhelming because we have so many commitments that we have to meet. And in terms of that, it can make your life challenging. So I just want to spread the love today. We wanted to spread the love on this show. We wanted to come up with maybe some ideas that can make your life a little bit less difficult, and give yourself self-love. Wrap your arms around yourself when there's nobody to give a hug to. Hug yourself. Give that love back to yourself so that you stay intact.
Absolutely. Spreading the love on this show is what we're all about. And I want to thank all of our lovely ladies and gentlemen who have tuned in to be a part of that love for the last 2 seasons. We love having you, and it just gives us so much joy to be able to communicate with you and know that we are making an impact on your life. And this is the last show of this season, but we will be back next season with some great topics, a lot more advice, and some great inspiration, because that's what we're all about here. And as usual, if you love what we're doing, we loved having your support. You can always give us a review. We would love to have your feedback. You can reach out to us on Instagram at shecompass.com. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at shecompass and on Facebook at shecompass. Or if you want to send comments through our website, you are more than welcome to reach out to us at shecompass.com, our website. And we look forward to hearing all of your feedback. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next season, and remember that we are now on an every other Tuesday schedule. So we're looking forward to bringing you some good shows in the new year. We wish you all the best, and thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.